Rain battered the windows of Harper's Diner, a flickering neon sign buzzing faintly in the Oregon dusk. Ellie Harper, wrist aching beneath her cast, balanced 3 plates of steaming meatloaf with her good hand, her smile masking the pain. She didn't see the woman in the corner booth watching her. Claire Montgomery, the diner's elusive owner, hiding in plain sight. Ellie moved like a dancer through the crowded diner, her short brown hair falling into her hazel eyes as she dodged a toddler's flailing arms. At 28, she'd spent half her life in this place, first as a kid wiping tables, now as its heart and soul. The cast was new. A clumsy fall in the kitchen 2 weeks ago, but the regulars didn't care. They loved her laugh, her knack for remembering their orders, and the way she made this rundown spot feel like home. Tonight, though, her heart was heavier than the plates. She hadn't told anyone about the eviction notice taped to her apartment door that morning. Claire, 32, sat in the booth, her tailored blazer out of place among the plaid shirts and trucker hats. She'd inherited the diner from her estranged father 6 months ago and hadn't set foot in it until now. Back in Portland, she was a corporate strategist, all sharp edges and calculated moves. But here, she was just Claire, blending in to see if this failing business was worth saving. Her green eyes tracked Ellie, noting the cast, the forced smile, the way she lingered at a table of elderly regulars, laughing at their bad jokes. Something about Ellie stirred Claire's guarded heart, a feeling she hadn't allowed herself since her last relationship crashed and burned. The diner was a time capsule. Checkered floors, red vinyl booths, a jukebox humming Johnny Cash. Claire sipped her coffee, bitter and overbrewed, and scribbled notes on a napkin. Staff morale high despite low wages. Ellie's standout. Injury a liability? She frowned, hating how cold it sounded. She wasn't here to fire anyone, but the numbers didn't lie. The diner was bleeding money, and her investors wanted it sold or shuttered by year's end. Ellie caught Claire's gaze from across the room and flashed a grin, mistaking her for just another city type passing through. "Need a refill, hon?" she called, her voice warm despite the ache in her wrist. Claire shook her head, startled by the nickname. Honorable, it felt like a hug she didn't deserve. As the night wore on, Ellie's energy never faltered. She bantered with a group of truckers, refilled ketchup bottles, and even sang along to a Dolly Parton tune when the jukebox kicked in. Claire watched, mesmerized. How did someone with so little, judging by her scuffed sneakers and frayed apron, give so much? Then came the moment that stopped Claire cold. A young couple, clearly nervous, sat in a corner booth, their hands intertwined under the table. 2 women, maybe 19 or 20, stealing shy glances. Ellie approached, her smile softer now, like she recognized something in them. "First date?" she asked, setting down their milkshakes. They blushed, nodding. Ellie leaned in, conspiratorial. "Don't worry, this place is a safe spot. Been there myself." She winked, and the girls relaxed, their shoulders easing. Claire's pen froze mid-sentence. Ellie was queer. The realization hit harder than it should have, stirring something Claire had buried years ago. By closing time, the diner was empty except for Ellie, wiping down counters, and Claire, lingering over her cold coffee. Ellie hummed softly, unaware of Claire's scrutiny. Then, as Ellie reached for a high shelf, her cast caught on a stack of menus, sending them tumbling. She cursed under her breath, clutching her wrist. Claire stood instinctively, crossing the room before she could stop herself. "You okay?" Claire asked, her voice softer than she meant. Ellie turned, surprised. "Yeah, just clumsy. This thing's a pain." She waved her cast, grinning despite the wince. Up close, Claire noticed the freckles dusting Ellie's nose, the exhaustion in her eyes. She wanted to ask how it happened, why Ellie was still working injured, but she stopped herself. She wasn't supposed to care. "I'm Claire," she said instead, extending a hand. "Ellie." Their hands met, and Claire felt a jolt, like static electricity. Ellie's grip was firm despite the cast, her smile unguarded. For a moment, Claire forgot she was here to dissect the diner's flaws. She forgot she was supposed to stay detached. As Ellie locked up, Claire lingered outside, the rain soaking her blazer. She watched Ellie disappear into the night, her figure small against the neon glow. Claire's napkin notes were crumpled in her pocket, but one thought burned brighter than the rest. Ellie Harper was trouble, not for the diner, but for her. The next day, Claire returned, this time in jeans and a hoodie, blending in better. She told herself it was research, but her eyes kept finding Ellie. The waitress was a whirlwind, serving coffee, cracking jokes, and subtly checking on the young couple from the night before. Claire overheard her talking to the cook, Miguel, about her apartment troubles. "Landlord's giving me a week to pay up or I'm out," Ellie said, her voice low but steady. Miguel offered her his couch, but Ellie waved him off. "I'll figure it out. Always do." Claire's chest tightened. She knew the diner's payroll was tight. Ellie couldn't afford a hit like that. Yet here she was, pouring her heart into a place that might not survive the year. Claire's phone buzzed with a text from her business partner. "Sell it. Market's hot." She ignored it, her gaze fixed on Ellie. That night, a drunk customer got loud, slurring insults at the young couple. Ellie stepped in, calm but firm, escorting him out with a strength that belied her injury. Claire watched, torn between admiration and unease. Ellie was loyal to this place, to its people. Could Claire really tear it down? By the third day, Claire was a regular, her notebook filled with observations, half of them about Ellie. She noticed the way Ellie's laugh lit up the room, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous. Claire caught herself smiling and stopped. She wasn't here to fall for anyone. She was here to make a decision. But then Ellie dropped a bombshell. As she refilled Claire's coffee, she leaned in, her voice barely a whisper. "You're not just a customer, are you?" Claire froze, her heart pounding. Had Ellie figured her out? "You've been watching me," Ellie continued, a teasing glint in her eye. "Either you're a creep or you're writing a book." Claire laughed, relieved. "Maybe a bit of both," she said, dodging the truth. Ellie grinned, but her eyes lingered, searching. Claire felt exposed, like Ellie saw through her carefully crafted walls. As the week went on, Claire's visits became less about the diner and more about Ellie. She learned Ellie had grown up in this town, raised by a single mom who'd worked at the diner before her. Ellie was openly lesbian, unapologetic despite the small-town whispers. Claire admired her courage, envying the ease with which Ellie lived her truth. Claire had never come out. Not to her colleagues, not to her family. She'd always told herself it was easier that way. One night, as Ellie closed up, Claire offered to help carry a stack of trays. Their hands brushed, and Ellie's smile faltered, replaced by something softer, more vulnerable. "Why do you keep coming back?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Claire opened her mouth, but no lie came. "You," she said simply, the word slipping out before she could stop it. Ellie's eyes widened, and for a moment, the world was just the two of them. Rain tapping the windows, the jukebox silent. Then Ellie's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. She glanced at it, her face falling. "My landlord," she muttered. "I'm out of time." Claire's heart sank. She could fix this, she had the money, the power, but it would mean revealing who she was. And that could change everything. Ellie's phone screen glowed in the dim diner, the landlord's text like a punch to the gut. "Pay by Friday or you're out." She shoved it in her pocket, forcing a smile as she turned back to Claire. "Sorry, just life," she said, her voice lighter than she felt. Claire's green eyes softened, but she didn't push. Instead, she grabbed another tray, stacking it with practiced ease. "You don't have to do that," Ellie said, surprised. "Want to?" Claire replied, her tone firm yet warm. Ellie's heart did a strange flip. She wasn't used to strangers caring or sticking around. Most customers came and went, but Claire kept coming back. The diner was quiet now, just the hum of the fridge and the patter of rain outside. Ellie locked the front door, her cast making the key fumble. Claire lingered by the counter, her hoodie damp from the earlier drizzle. Ellie caught her staring and grinned. "What? Do I have ketchup on my face?" Claire laughed, a sound that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "No, you're good. Just thinking. About." Ellie tilted her head, curious. Claire's gaze darted away, and Ellie sensed a wall, like Claire was holding something back. It intrigued her, but she didn't pry. She had enough secrets of her own, like the panic clawing at her chest over her apartment, or the way her heart raced when Claire's hand brushed hers. They worked in silence, cleaning the last of the tables. Ellie's wrist throbbed, but she ignored it, focusing on the rhythm of the task. Claire broke the quiet first. "How'd you break it?" she asked, nodding at the cast. Ellie hesitated. The truth was messy. A late-night slip in the kitchen, rushing to cover someone else's shift. She'd laughed it off at the time, but the hospital bill was another weight on her shoulders. "Clumsy moment," she said with a shrug. "Tripped over a crate of tomatoes. Real graceful." Claire's lips twitched, but her eyes were serious. "You shouldn't be working with it." "Gotta pay the bills," Ellie said, her tone lighter than her reality. She didn't mention the eviction notice, the overdue medical bills, or the fact that the diner's tips were barely keeping her afloat. Claire didn't need to know her life was a house of cards. Claire frowned, like she wanted to argue, but instead she said, "You're good at this. The diner, the people. They love you." Ellie blushed, ducking her head. "It's home. Been here since I was a kid, helping my mom. It's not much, but it's mine." Her voice cracked on the last word, and she turned away, busying herself with a rag. Claire didn't push, but Ellie felt her watching, like she was piecing together a puzzle. The next day, Claire was back, this time with a notebook she quickly tucked away when Ellie approached. "Regular now, huh?" Ellie teased, pouring her coffee. "Careful, you'll start knowing the menu by heart." "Maybe I like the service?" Claire shot back, her smile playful but her eyes intense. Ellie's stomach fluttered. Flirting wasn't new. She'd charmed her share of customers. But this felt different. Dangerous, almost. The diner buzzed with its usual chaos. Truckers arguing over football, kids spilling milkshakes, the jukebox blaring Patsy Cline. Ellie moved through it all, her cast a constant reminder of her limits. She caught Claire watching her again, scribbling in that notebook. Curiosity gnawed at her, but so did the landlord's deadline. 2 days left. At noon, a new customer walked in. A woman in her 40s, polished with a briefcase and a sharp stare. She sat at the counter, ordered a black coffee, and watched Ellie like a hawk. Ellie didn't think much of it until she overheard the woman on the phone. "Yeah, the place is a dump, but the staff's solid. That waitress with the cast. She's the draw." Ellie's gut twisted. A dump? She loved this place, flaws and all. She glanced at Claire, who was staring at the woman, her jaw tight. Did Claire know her? Before Ellie could ask, the woman left, dropping a business card on the counter. Vantage Realty. Ellie's heart sank. Were they scouting the diner for a sale? That night, Ellie couldn't shake the unease. She stayed late, going over the books after Miguel left. The numbers were grim, sales were down, costs were up. She rubbed her temples, the eviction notice burning a hole in her bag. Then she heard a knock. Claire stood at the door, rain-soaked, holding a takeout bag from the Chinese place down the street. "Thought you might be hungry," Claire said, stepping inside. Ellie blinked, caught off guard by the gesture. They sat at the counter, sharing lo mein, the silence comfortable but charged. Ellie wanted to ask about the notebook, the realty woman, but Claire's presence was a distraction, a good one. "You don't talk much about yourself," Ellie said, breaking the quiet. "What's your deal, Claire?" Claire hesitated, chopsticks pausing midair. "Just figuring things out. Work stuff. Nothing exciting." Ellie raised an eyebrow. "You're a terrible liar." Claire laughed, but it was strained. "Maybe I'm just not ready to spill my guts." "Fair," Ellie said, though her curiosity burned. She told herself it didn't matter. Claire was just a customer. But the way Claire looked at her, like she saw more than Ellie let on, made her wonder. The next day, the realty woman returned, this time with a man in a suit. They took photos of the diner, whispering to each other. Ellie's stomach churned. She cornered Miguel in the kitchen. You hear anything about the diner being sold? Miguel frowned. Nah, but the owner's some big shot who never shows up. Probably doesn't care. Ellie glanced at Claire, who was pretending to read the menu but clearly listening. Was she involved? The thought stung more than it should. Ellie didn't know Claire. Not really, but the idea of her hiding something hurt. That night, as Ellie locked up, Claire lingered again. The rain had stopped, leaving the air heavy with the scent of wet pavement. Ellie, Claire started, her voice hesitant. If something was happening with the diner, would you want to know? Ellie's heart raced. What do you know? Claire looked torn, her green eyes searching Ellie's face. I am not just a customer, she admitted. I own this place. Ellie froze, the key slipping from her fingers. You're what? I inherited it, Claire said quickly. I didn't want anyone to know. I'm here to decide what to do with it. Keep it or sell it. Ellie's world tilted. The diner, her home, was just a business deal to Claire? And those moments they'd shared, were they fake too? Anger flared, mixing with something deeper, betrayal. So you've been lying to me? Ellie said, her voice shaking. Watching me like some lab rat. No, Claire said, stepping closer. It's not like that. I didn't expect. She stopped, her eyes pleading. I didn't expect you. Ellie's chest ached. She wanted to believe her, but the truth cut deep. You should have told me, she whispered, turning away. Claire called after her, but Ellie kept walking, the neon sign flickering behind her. Ellie's boots splashed through puddles as she stormed away from the diner, Claire's confession echoing in her head. The woman she'd started to trust, maybe even feel something for, was the owner, playing spy while Ellie poured her heart into a place that might be sold out from under her. The betrayal stung worse than the eviction notice still crumpled in her bag. Back at her tiny apartment, Ellie sank onto the couch, the cast on her wrist feeling heavier than ever. The place was a mess. Unpaid bills scattered on the coffee table, a half-packed box from when she'd started bracing for the worst. She wanted to scream, to cry, but instead, she grabbed her phone and texted her best friend, Sam, a bartender at the local diner's owner showed up. Lied to my face. I'm screwed. Sam's reply came fast. WTF? Meet me at the bar. Now, the Rusty Nail was a 5-minute walk, its dim lights and sticky floors a far cry from the diner's warmth. Sam, a lanky 30-year-old with a buzz cut and a rainbow pin on her jacket, slid a whiskey across the bar before Ellie could even sit. Spill, Sam said, leaning in. Ellie recounted everything. Claire's daily visits, the notebook, the realty people, the bombshell that Claire owned the diner. She acted like she cared, Ellie said, her voice cracking. But she's just here to decide if my life's work is worth keeping. Sam frowned, swirling her own drink. Sounds like she's got her own baggage. Doesn't mean she's heartless. Maybe she's stuck. Ellie snorted. Stuck? She's got money, power. I'm the one with a broken hand and a landlord breathing down my neck. Sam's eyes softened. You told her about that? No, Ellie stared at her glass. Didn't want her pity. Back at her hotel, Claire paced, her phone clutched tight. She'd almost called Ellie a dozen times but stopped herself. What could she say? She hadn't meant to lie, not really. She'd come to the diner to assess it, not to fall for the waitress who made it feel alive. But Ellie's hurt, those hazel eyes flashing with anger, cut deeper than Claire expected. She sank onto the bed, staring at the notebook filled with her observations. Half the pages were about Ellie. Her smile, her strength, the way she made everyone feel seen. Claire had never met anyone like her. Not in her polished Portland world where authenticity was a rare commodity. But now Ellie thought she was a liar, and Claire couldn't blame her. The next morning, Claire hesitated outside the diner, her usual hoodie swapped for a blazer. No more hiding. She walked in, and Ellie's eyes locked onto her, cold and guarded. The air between them crackled with tension. Morning, Claire said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Ellie didn't smile. What do you want, Claire? To talk. Claire said, lowering her voice as regulars glanced their way. Please. Ellie crossed her arms, her cast stark against her apron. You had your chance to be honest. Why should I listen now? Because I care, Claire said, the words spilling out. About the diner. About you. Ellie's jaw tightened, but she didn't walk away. Prove it, she said finally, turning back to her work. Claire spent the day at the diner, not as a customer but as herself, the owner. She met with Miguel, the cook, and the other staff, asking about their challenges, their ideas. She listened, really listened, and saw the diner through their eyes. A lifeline for a small town, a haven for people like the young couple Ellie had comforted. But the numbers still loomed: repairs, debts, a lease renewal that could sink them. At closing, Ellie stayed silent, wiping down counters with fierce focus. Claire approached cautiously. I'm not selling yet, she said. I want to try to save this place. Ellie paused, her rag still. Why? You don't even know us. I know you, Claire said softly. You're the heart of this place. I see how you fight for it, even with everything you're dealing with. Ellie's eyes flicked to her cast, then back to Claire. You don't know half of it. Then tell me, Claire urged, stepping closer. Let me help. For a moment, Ellie looked like she might open up. But then her phone buzzed again. Another landlord text. She flinched, shoving it away. I handle my own problems, she said, her voice sharp. You focus on not tearing this place down. Claire watched her go, frustration and admiration warring inside her. Ellie was stubborn, fierce, and so damn magnetic. Claire wanted to fix everything. Her wrist, her apartment, the diner. But she knew trust wasn't that simple. The next day, Claire dug deeper. She called her accountant, reviewed the diner's books, and found a mess. Unpaid vendors, a looming tax bill. But she also found something else. A grant application Ellie had started, tucked away in the office. It was for small businesses, a long shot to fund repairs and keep the diner afloat. Ellie's handwriting covered the margins, hopeful yet desperate. Claire's heart ached. Ellie hadn't given up, even when the odds were stacked against her. That night, Claire waited outside the diner, rain misting her hair. When Ellie emerged, she didn't look surprised to see her. You're persistent, Ellie said, her tone softer now, almost amused. Part of my charm, Claire replied, earning a small smile. I found your grant application. It's good. Really good. Ellie's eyes widened, then narrowed. You went through my stuff? I'm the owner, Claire said, wincing at how it sounded. I mean, I was looking for ways to help. I want to finish it with you. Together. Ellie studied her, rain catching in her lashes. Why do you care so much? Claire took a breath, her heart pounding. Because you make me want to be better. Because this place, it's worth fighting for. Ellie's expression softened, but doubt lingered. I don't know if I can trust you, Claire. Then let me earn it, Claire said, her voice raw. Please. Ellie didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. They stood there, rain blurring the neon sign behind them, the space between them shrinking. Ellie's breath caught in the rain-soaked silence, Claire's words hanging between them like a fragile thread. The neon sign buzzed faintly, casting a pink glow on Claire's face, her green eyes earnest and unguarded. Ellie wanted to believe her, but trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not with her world crumbling. I'll think about it, Ellie said finally, her voice barely above the rain's patter. She turned and walked away, her heart a tangle of hope and fear. Claire didn't follow, but Ellie felt her gaze long after she rounded the corner. Back at her apartment, Ellie sank onto her couch, the eviction notice glaring from the coffee table. She'd always been the fixer, patching up the diner, cheering up regulars, hiding her own cracks. But now, with her wrist throbbing and her home slipping away, she felt like she was drowning. And Claire was a wild card. Could she really be an ally? Or was she just another storm waiting to break? The next morning, the diner was busier than usual, a rush of locals escaping the gray Oregon drizzle. Ellie worked through the pain, her cast slowing her down but not stopping her. Claire was there, too, no longer pretending to be a customer. She sat in the office, poring over the books with Miguel. Her blazer swapped for a sweater that made her look less like a corporate shark and more like someone who belonged. Ellie caught herself staring, then shook it off. Focus. At noon, the realty woman returned, this time alone. She cornered Ellie at the counter, her smile too polished. "You're Ellie, right? The heart of this place." Her tone was syrupy, but her eyes were cold. "I'm Laura with Vantage Realty. We're interested in this property. Could be a gold mine with the right buyer." Ellie's stomach dropped. "It's not for sale," she said, her voice sharper than intended. Laura raised an eyebrow. "That's not what the owner says." She slid a card across the counter. "Think about what's best for you. A sale could mean a fresh start." Ellie's hand shook as she pocketed the card. She glanced at the office, where Claire was laughing with Miguel. Had Claire lied again? The thought twisted like a knife. When the lunch rush slowed, Ellie marched into the office, shutting the door behind her. Claire looked up, startled. "Ellie, is it true?" Ellie cut in, her voice low but fierce. "Are you selling to those vultures?" Claire's face fell. "No. I told them I'm not ready to decide. They're just persistent." Ellie crossed her arms, her cast heavy. "Why should I believe you? You hid who you were. You're still hiding." Claire stood, closing the distance between them. "I'm not hiding now. I'm here trying to save this place. For you. For everyone." Ellie's throat tightened. She wanted to lash out, to push Claire away, but those green eyes held her, raw and honest. "Then why does it feel like you're playing a game?" she whispered. "I'm not," Claire said, her voice breaking. "I'm scared, Ellie. Scared of screwing this up. Scared of what I feel when I'm around you." The air shifted, heavy with unspoken truths. Ellie's heart pounded, her anger melting into something softer, more dangerous. She stepped back, needing space. "I can't do this right now," she said, fleeing to the safety of the diner floor. The rest of the day, Ellie avoided Claire, focusing on the regulars, the jukebox, anything but the woman in the office. But Claire's words lingered, stirring feelings Ellie had buried since her last heartbreak. She'd sworn off love after her ex left her for someone less complicated. Was Claire worth the risk? That night, as Ellie locked up, Claire was waiting outside, her sweater damp from the mist. "I'm finishing the grant application," Claire said, holding up Ellie's notes. "With or without you, but I'd rather it be with." Ellie hesitated, rain catching in her hair. "Why does it matter so much to you?" "Because you do," Claire said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "This place is your heart. I want to protect it." Ellie's walls wavered. She nodded, barely perceptible. "Tomorrow, we'll work on it." The next day, they sat in the office, papers spread across the desk. Ellie explained her vision. New equipment, better wages, a community space for locals. Claire listened, adding ideas, her business savvy filling gaps Ellie hadn't considered. They laughed, argued, and for the first time, felt like a team. But Ellie couldn't shake the fear that Claire's feelings, whatever they were, might be tied to her role as owner, not to her. At closing, Claire touched Ellie's arm, her fingers lingering. "You're incredible, you know that?" she said softly. "This place wouldn't be the same without you." Ellie's breath hitched. She wanted to lean into the touch, to let herself feel, but the eviction notice loomed in her mind. "I'm just trying to survive," she said, pulling away. Claire's face fell, but she nodded. "I'll keep trying to earn your trust." As Ellie walked home, her heart was a battlefield. Claire was breaking through, but the stakes were higher than ever. The diner, her home, her heart. Everything was on the line. Ellie's apartment felt smaller each day, the walls closing in as the eviction deadline loomed. Tomorrow. She sat on her couch, staring at the grant application she and Claire had polished, its pages a flicker of hope against the chaos. But hope felt fragile when her world was unraveling, and Claire's presence only complicated things. At the diner, Ellie threw herself into work, her cast a constant ache as she juggled plates and smiled through the pain. Claire was there, too, no longer hiding in a booth but helping with small tasks, refilling sugar jars, sweeping floors. The staff noticed, whispering about the new boss, who didn't act like one. Ellie caught their glances but kept her distance, unsure how to navigate the pull she felt toward Claire. Mid-morning, Laura from Vantage Realty returned, her heels clicking on the checkered floor. She slid into a booth, her eyes scanning the diner like it was already hers. Ellie's stomach churned, but she approached, forcing a smile. "Coffee?" Laura waved her off. "I'm here for Claire." "Where is she?" Ellie's heart sank. She pointed to the office, where Claire was on the phone, her expression tense. Laura strode past, not sparing Ellie a glance. The door shut, and Ellie strained to hear their muffled voices. Words like offer and deadline cut through, sharp as knives. When Laura left, Claire emerged, her face pale. Ellie couldn't hold back. What did she want? Claire hesitated, then sighed. "They upped their offer. A lot. My investors are pushing me to take it." Ellie's chest tightened. "And you're considering it?" "I don't want to," Claire said, her voice raw. "But the diner's in worse shape than I thought. The grant might not come through in time." Ellie turned away, her hands shaking as she wiped down the counter. She'd poured her soul into this place, and now it felt like Claire was holding a match to it. "You said you'd fight for it," she muttered. "I am," Claire insisted, stepping closer. "But I need you to believe in me." Ellie's eyes burned. It's hard to believe in someone who keeps secrets. Claire flinched but didn't back down. "Then let me show you I'm serious. Come to Portland with me tomorrow. I'm meeting my accountant to restructure the diner's debt. I want you there." Ellie blinked, caught off guard. "Why me?" "Because you know this place better than anyone," Claire said. "And because I trust you." The words hit Ellie hard, stirring the feelings she'd tried to bury. She nodded, her throat tight. "Fine. But this doesn't mean I'm okay with you." Claire's smile was small but genuine. "Fair enough." The next day, Ellie woke to a voicemail from her landlord. "Pay by noon or you're out." Her heart raced as she packed a bag, unsure if she'd have a home to come back to. She met Claire at the diner, the morning mist clinging to their coats as they drove to Portland in Claire's sleek SUV. The city felt foreign to Ellie, towering buildings, crowded streets, a world away from her small town. Claire, though, was in her element, navigating with ease. At the accountant's office, Ellie sat quietly as Claire argued numbers, her passion surprising. She wasn't just fighting for profit. She was fighting for the diner, for the people who called it home. Ellie's guard softened, but doubt lingered. Could Claire really be this invested, or was it guilt? After the meeting, Claire took Ellie to a quiet cafe overlooking the Willamette River. They sat with steaming mugs, the city humming around them. "You're quiet," Claire said, her voice gentle. Ellie stared at her coffee. "My landlord's evicting me today. I didn't pay in time." Claire's eyes widened. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Didn't want your pity," Ellie said, echoing her words to Sam. "I've always handled things myself." Claire reached across the table, her hand hovering near Ellie's. "You don't have to do it alone." Ellie pulled back, her heart warring with itself. "You're my boss, Claire, and maybe the person who sells my home out from under me. It's complicated." Claire's face fell, but she nodded. "I get it, but I'm not giving up on you. Or the diner." The drive back was quiet, the tension thick. When they reached the diner, Ellie's phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Your stuff's at my place. Landlord locked you out." Ellie's knees buckled, but she caught herself, refusing to break in front of Claire. "I'm fine," she lied, heading inside. Claire followed, her eyes full of worry but giving Ellie space. The diner was a sanctuary, but even that felt temporary now. That night, Ellie crashed at Sam's, her life packed into boxes. She couldn't sleep, Claire's words looping in her mind. "I'm not giving up on you." She wanted to believe it, but trust was a leap she wasn't sure she could take. Ellie woke on Sam's lumpy couch, the weight of her eviction sinking in like a stone. Her life was in boxes, her wrist ached, and the diner, her last anchor, might not even be hers much longer. Yet Claire's words from yesterday echoed, "I'm not giving up on you." They felt like a lifeline, but one she wasn't sure she could grab. At the diner, Ellie threw herself into the morning rush, her cast slowing her but not stopping her. The regulars sensed her mood, offering extra smiles, but their warmth couldn't erase the hollow feeling in her chest. Claire arrived mid-morning, her usual confidence softened by something Ellie couldn't place. Guilt, maybe, or hope. "We got a response from the grant board," Claire said, finding Ellie in the kitchen. "They're interested. Want a meeting next week." Ellie's heart lifted, then sank. "Next week won't help my apartment." Claire's face tightened. "I know. I want to help with that too." Ellie stiffened. "I don't need charity." "It's not charity," Claire said, her voice firm. "It's me caring about you." The words hung heavy, and Ellie's resolve wavered. She wanted to push back, to keep her walls up, but Claire's sincerity was disarming. Before she could respond, Miguel called her to the front, and the moment passed. The day was relentless. Spilled coffee, a broken glass, a kid throwing a tantrum. Ellie handled it all, but her mind was elsewhere. Claire stayed, helping where she could, her presence a quiet comfort. When the lunch rush eased, Claire pulled Ellie aside. "I paid your back rent," she said bluntly. "You're not evicted." Ellie's jaw dropped. "You what?" "I called your landlord," Claire said, holding up a hand to stop Ellie's protest. "It's not charity. It's a loan if that's what you need to hear. Pay me back when you can." Ellie's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. "Why are you doing this?" Claire stepped closer, her voice low. "Because you're worth it. Because I see you, Ellie, and I can't walk away." The air crackled, and Ellie's heart raced. She wanted to argue, to push Claire away, but the truth was she was tired of fighting alone. "Thank you," she whispered, the words feeling like a surrender. That night, they worked on the grant proposal together, their shoulders brushing as they sat at the counter. Ellie opened up about her mom, who'd taught her to love the diner, and her fear of losing it. Claire shared her own story, growing up with a distant father, inheriting a business she didn't understand, hiding her queerness to fit in. Their vulnerabilities wove them closer, and when their hands touched, neither pulled away. But the next day, reality crashed back. Laura from Vantage Realty showed up with a new offer, this one higher than ever. Claire's phone buzzed with texts from her investors, urging her to sell. Ellie overheard her arguing on the phone. "I'm not ready to give up on this place." Ellie's heart twisted. Claire was fighting, but for how long? She confronted her in the office. "If you're going to sell, just tell me now. I can't keep hoping." Claire's eyes were fierce. "I'm not selling. Not yet. But I need you to fight with me, Ellie. Can you do that?" Ellie nodded, her throat tight. "I'm in." They spent the next days preparing for the grant meeting, their teamwork seamless but charged with unspoken feelings. Ellie caught Claire staring, her green eyes soft, and Ellie's own gaze lingered too long. The diner felt different now, alive with possibility but shadowed by uncertainty. On the eve of the grant meeting, Ellie stayed late, nervous energy keeping her at the diner. Claire was there, too, double-checking their presentation. The jukebox played softly, a slow ballad filling the air. Claire looked up, catching Ellie's eye. "Dance with me," she said, half-joking. Ellie laughed, but took Claire's hand, her cast awkward but not stopping her. They swayed, clumsy at first, then closer, the world fading to just them. Ellie's heart pounded as Claire's breath brushed her cheek. "What are we doing?" Ellie whispered. "Something real," Claire murmured, her lips close. They didn't kiss, but the moment felt like one, electric and fragile. As they pulled apart, Ellie knew she was falling, hard. But the grant meeting loomed, and with it, the diner's fate. Could they save it? And if they did, could they save whatever was growing between them? The morning of the grant meeting dawned gray, rain streaking the windows of Ellie's borrowed apartment at Sam's. Her cast itched, a reminder of her fragility, but her focus was on the diner, and Claire. Last night's dance lingered like a melody she couldn't shake. Their almost kiss, a promise and a risk. At the diner, Claire was already there, pacing the office in a crisp blazer, her nerves betraying her usual polish. Ellie felt a pang of protectiveness. She wasn't the only one with everything on the line. "Ready?" Ellie asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Claire met her eyes, a spark passing between them. "With you? Always." They drove to Portland, the grant proposal a thick folder between them. The meeting was in a sleek conference room, the grant board a mix of stern faces and skeptical eyes. Ellie's heart raced as Claire took the lead, her voice confident as she outlined their plan. New equipment, community events, a revitalized diner as a town cornerstone. Ellie chimed in, sharing stories of the regulars, the young couple who'd found a safe space, the diner's role as a haven. Her passion shone, and Claire's proud glance warmed her. The board asked tough questions about debt, sustainability, Ellie's injury as a liability. Claire countered each one, her business acumen sharp, but it was Ellie's raw honesty that seemed to sway them. "This place isn't just a business," Ellie said, her voice cracking. "It's home. For me, for them. We're fighting for it." As they left, Claire squeezed Ellie's good hand. "You were incredible." "So were you," Ellie said, her heart fluttering. They lingered in the parking lot, the city buzzing around them, neither wanting to break the moment. Back at the diner, the wait for the grant decision was agonizing. Ellie threw herself into work, her cast less of a burden now, her hope fueled by Claire's determination. But Laura from Vantage Realty kept circling, her latest visit bolder. She cornered Claire in the office while Ellie was serving a table nearby, close enough to overhear. "You're throwing away a fortune," Laura said, her voice sharp. "This place is a sinking ship. Take the offer, Claire." Ellie's heart stopped. She waited, barely breathing, for Claire's response. "I'm not selling," Claire said firmly. "This diner matters. To the town, to the staff. To me." Laura scoffed. "You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. That waitress isn't worth it." Ellie froze, her tray trembling. Claire's voice turned icy. "Don't talk about her like that. She's the reason this place is worth saving." Ellie's chest ached, a mix of pride and fear. She slipped away before Claire could see her, her mind reeling. Claire was fighting for her. But at what cost? And what did it mean for them? That night, Ellie stayed late, cleaning the jukebox with a care she didn't feel. Claire found her, her face tired but soft. "You heard, didn't you?" Claire asked. Ellie nodded, her throat tight. "You meant it? About me?" Claire stepped closer, her green eyes intense. "Every word. You're not just the reason for the diner, Ellie. You're the reason I'm still here." Ellie's walls crumbled. She reached for Claire's hand, their fingers intertwining. "I'm scared," she admitted, "of losing the diner, of this." Claire's thumb brushed Ellie's knuckles. "Me too. But I'm not going anywhere." They stood there, hands clasped, the jukebox humming softly. Ellie wanted to kiss her, to let go of her fears, but doubt lingered. Could she trust Claire with her heart when so much was still at stake? The next day, a letter arrived from the grant board. Ellie's hands shook as she opened it. Claire at her side. Approved. $50,000 to start, with conditions for more. Ellie laughed, tears spilling, and Claire pulled her into a hug, their relief electric. The diner had a chance. But as they celebrated, Ellie's phone buzzed. A text from her landlord, demanding higher rent now that she was back in. Her heart sank. The grant would save the diner, but her own life was still a mess. She hid the text from Claire, not ready to burden her. Claire noticed her shift in mood. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Ellie lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired." Claire didn't push, but her eyes said she knew better. As they locked up, Claire lingered, her hand brushing Ellie's arm. "We're in this together, okay?" Ellie nodded, but the weight of her secrets, her fears, her feelings, felt heavier than ever. The diner was safe, but her heart? That was another story. The grant money was a lifeline, but Ellie's world still felt like it was fraying at the edges. Her landlord's new demand, higher rent or another eviction, loomed like a storm cloud, and she hadn't told Claire. The diner buzzed with renewed energy, the staff excited about the upgrades. But Ellie's smile was a mask, her cast a constant reminder of her limits. Claire was everywhere now, no longer the stranger in the booth but a partner in the diner's revival. She coordinated with vendors, planned renovations, and checked in with Ellie constantly, her green eyes searching for cracks in Ellie's facade. Ellie wanted to open up, to share the weight of her fears, but every time she tried, the words stuck. Claire had already done so much, paying her back rent, fighting for the diner. How could Ellie ask for more? One morning, as Ellie prepped the coffee machine, Claire slipped into the kitchen with a stack of paint swatches. "For the walls," she said, her smile bright. "What do you think, blue or green?" Ellie glanced at the swatches, her heart not in it. "Blue's fine," she said, turning away. Claire frowned, setting the swatches down. "Ellie, talk to me. You've been off since the grant came through." Ellie's hands stilled. She wanted to tell Claire about the landlord, about the fear that kept her up at night, but pride held her back. "Just tired," she said, the lie tasting bitter. Claire didn't buy it. She stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "You don't have to do this alone. Whatever it is, I'm here." Ellie's eyes stung, but she shook her head. "You've done enough, Claire. I'll figure it out." Claire's frustration flared. "Stop pushing me away. I'm not just your boss, Ellie. She stopped, her cheeks flushing. "I care about you. More than I should." The air thickened, Ellie's pulse racing. She wanted to reach for Claire, to close the distance, but fear stopped her. "I can't," she whispered, fleeing to the diner floor. The day dragged, Ellie's mind a tangle of emotions. The regulars noticed her quiet, offering gentle words, but it wasn't enough. By closing, she was exhausted, her cast heavy as she wiped down tables. Claire stayed, helping silently, her presence a quiet anchor. As they locked up, Claire broke the silence. "I'm not giving up on you, Ellie, even if you're scared." Ellie turned, rain misting her hair. "I'm not scared of you. I'm scared of losing everything. The diner, my home you." Claire's eyes softened. "You won't lose me." Before Ellie could respond, a car pulled up, Laura from Vantage Realty. She stepped out, her smile predatory. "Claire, we need to talk. The buyers are impatient." Ellie's heart sank. Claire's jaw tightened. "I told you, I'm not selling." Laura's eyes flicked to Ellie, dismissive. "You're betting on a failing diner and a waitress with a broken hand? Bad call." Ellie flinched, but Claire stepped forward, her voice cold. "Get out. Now." Laura left, but her words lingered. Ellie turned to Claire, her voice shaking. "Is she right? Am I holding you back?" "No," Claire said fiercely. "You're the reason I'm fighting. You make this place worth it." Ellie's walls cracked. She stepped closer, their breaths mingling in the cold air. "I'm falling for you," she admitted, her voice raw. "And it terrifies me." Claire's hand cupped Ellie's cheek, gentle despite the intensity in her eyes. "I'm falling too. Let me catch you." They kissed, soft at first, then desperate, the rain swallowing the world around them. Ellie's cast pressed against Claire's back, grounding her in the moment. It was reckless, terrifying, but it felt right. The next day, Ellie told Claire about the landlord's new demand. Claire's face hardened, but she nodded. "We'll handle it. Together." They devised a plan. Claire would negotiate with the landlord, using her business clout, while Ellie focused on the diner's upgrades. The work was grueling, but their partnership grew stronger, their stolen glances and touches a quiet promise. But Laura's visits didn't stop, and the investors' pressure mounted. Ellie overheard Claire on the phone, her voice strained. "I know the numbers, but I'm not giving up." Ellie's heart ached. Claire was risking everything. For the diner, for her. Could she let herself believe in them? The kiss changed everything. Ellie woke with the memory of Claire's lips, her touch, the rain-soaked promise that they were in this together. But the diner's future, and their own, was still a tightrope, and Ellie's cast felt like a metaphor for her fragile hope. At the diner, renovations began. New paint, updated menus, a repaired jukebox humming with life. The regulars buzzed with excitement, but Ellie's joy was tempered by the landlord's looming threat and Laura's relentless visits. Claire was a whirlwind, juggling vendors and investors while stealing moments with Ellie. A brush of hands, a shared smile. Each touch sparked something deeper, but Ellie couldn't shake the fear that it was all too good to last. One afternoon, Claire pulled Ellie into the office, her face serious. "I talked to your landlord. He's backing off for now. I covered another month's rent." Ellie's heart sank. "Claire, I can't keep taking your money." "It's not about money," Claire said, her voice fierce. "It's about giving you a chance to breathe. You've carried too much for too long." Ellie's eyes burned, but she nodded, gratitude mixing with guilt. She wanted to believe in Claire's vision, for the diner, for them, but doubt lingered. What if the diner failed? What if Claire left? That evening, Laura returned, her smile sharper than ever. She cornered Claire at the counter, ignoring Ellie. "The buyers are offering cash, Claire. Final chance. You're throwing away your future for this place." Ellie's stomach twisted, but Claire's voice was steel. "This place is my future. Get that through your head." Laura's eyes flicked to Ellie, cold and calculating. "You're betting on her too. Hope she's worth it." Ellie's face burned, but Claire stepped between them. "She's worth everything. Leave." Laura left, but her words burrowed into Ellie's insecurities. Was she worth Claire's risk? She busied herself with work, avoiding Claire's gaze, but the tension followed her. At closing, Claire found her by the jukebox, her expression soft but determined. "You're pulling away again," Claire said, her voice low. "Talk to me." Ellie's throat tightened. "What if I'm not enough? For you, for the diner? What if this all falls apart?" Claire took her hand, her touch grounding. "You are enough. You've always been enough. We're building something real here, and with us." Ellie wanted to believe her, but fear was a stubborn shadow. She squeezed Claire's hand, a silent promise to try. The next day, a surprise arrived. A letter from the grant board, approving additional funding. The diner could expand, maybe even host community events like Ellie had dreamed. The staff cheered, and Claire pulled Ellie into a hug, their laughter mingling. But Ellie's joy was cut short by a call from Sam. Laura had been snooping around town, asking about Ellie's past, her injury, her life. "She's digging for dirt," Sam warned. "Watch your back." Ellie's blood ran cold. She told Claire, who cursed under her breath. "She's trying to scare us," Claire said. "But we're stronger than that." They doubled down, working late to plan a community night to showcase the diner's revival. Ellie opened up more, sharing stories of her mom, her coming out, the diner as her safe space. Claire listened, her own walls crumbling as she admitted her fear of failing her father's legacy, and her own heart. The night of the community event, the diner glowed with string lights, packed with locals, music spilling from the jukebox. Ellie worked the crowd, her cast no longer a burden but a badge of her resilience. Claire watched her, pride and love in her eyes. As the night wound down, they stole a moment outside, the stars bright above. "I'm all in," Ellie said, her voice steady. "For the diner. For you." Claire's smile was radiant. "Good, because I'm not letting you go." They kissed again, deeper this time, the world falling away. But as they pulled apart, Ellie saw Laura watching from across the street, her expression unreadable. A chill ran through her. The fight wasn't over. Laura's shadow lingered like a storm on the horizon, but Ellie refused to let it dim the diner's glow, or her growing bond with Claire. The community night had been a triumph, the diner alive with laughter, music, and hope. Ellie's cast was due to come off soon, and with the grant money flowing, the future felt possible. But Laura's presence across the street gnawed at her, a reminder that some battles weren't won yet. The next morning, Ellie arrived early, her heart lighter despite the unease. Claire was already there, setting up new tables, her sleeves rolled up. She grinned when she saw Ellie, and the warmth in her eyes made Ellie's chest ache in the best way. "Morning, partner," Claire said, tossing her a paint roller. They worked side by side, painting the walls a soft blue, their banter easy but electric. Ellie caught Claire staring, and for once, she didn't look away. "What?" she teased. "You're beautiful," Claire said simply, her voice soft. Ellie blushed, her heart racing. But before she could respond, Miguel burst in, his face grim. "Laura's back," he said. "And she's got someone with her. Looks serious." Ellie's stomach dropped. She followed Claire to the window, where Laura stood with a man in a suit, gesturing at the diner. Claire's jaw tightened. "Stay here," she said, heading outside. Ellie didn't listen. She followed, her cast heavy but her resolve stronger. Outside, Laura's voice was sharp. "This is Mr. Hayes, our lead buyer. He's ready to close today, Claire. Last chance." Hayes extended a hand, but Claire ignored it. "I've told you, the diner's not for sale." Laura smirked, glancing at Ellie. "You're throwing away millions for her? She's a liability, broken hand, no stability. We dug into her. Evictions, debt. She's dragging you down." Ellie's face burned, shame and anger warring inside her. But Claire stepped forward, her voice deadly calm. "You don't know her. Ellie's the heart of this place, and she's worth more than your money. We're done here." Hayes frowned, but Laura pressed. "You'll regret this, Claire. Your investors won't wait forever." "Then they can find another project," Claire snapped. "This diner stays." Laura's eyes narrowed, but she and Hayes left without another word. Ellie stood frozen, her heart pounding. Claire turned to her, her expression softening. "I'm sorry you heard that." Ellie shook her head, tears pricking her eyes. "You didn't have to do that. Defend me." "Yes, I did," Claire said, taking her hand. "Because it's true. You're everything, Ellie." The words broke something in Ellie, the last of her walls crumbling. She pulled Claire close, kissing her fiercely, the world fading to just them. When they parted, Ellie laughed through tears. "You're crazy, you know that?" "Crazy about you," Claire said, grinning. The next weeks were a whirlwind. The diner thrived, new hires easing Ellie's load as her cast came off. She and Claire grew closer, their relationship no longer a secret. The staff teased them, the regulars cheered, and even Sam gave her approval, albeit grudgingly. But Laura's threat lingered, and Claire's investors grew restless, their calls more frequent. One night, as Ellie and Claire closed up, a letter arrived, an ultimatum from the investors. Sell or they'd pull their support from Claire's other ventures. Ellie's heart sank as Claire read it, her face pale. "What are you going to do?" Ellie asked, her voice small. Claire looked at her, determination in her eyes. "I'm choosing you. The diner. Us." Ellie's breath caught. "But your career means nothing if I lose you," Claire said. "I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out." They did. Claire sold a smaller property to appease the investors, keeping the diner safe. Ellie moved into a new apartment, her life steady for the first time in years. The diner became a beacon, hosting queer youth nights, drawing crowds from beyond the town. Ellie and Claire built it together, their love woven into every detail. One evening, under the neon glow, Ellie took Claire's hand, the jukebox playing their song. "We made it," she whispered. Claire kissed her, soft and sure. "We're just getting started." The diner stood strong, a testament to their fight, their love, and the home they'd created, not just for themselves, but for everyone who walked through its doors.